So good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to Ms. Sunita Shanker, all the faculty, staff, and dear students. On behalf of Amity Directorate of Applied Arts, Fine Arts, Performing Arts, and Visual Arts, it is my pleasure to have you all with me today for this talk show session with designer Ms. Sunita Shanker. So Ms. Sunita Shanker is a designer whose work is a combination of unique sensibility, especially in tone and texture, with inspiration from rich traditional crafts of India. They have an earthy ethnicity with modern interpretation. Over time, Sunita Shanker has succeeded in endorsing and propagating the importance of handmade in India. Her design is a unique interpretation of style that combines both fashion and tradition seamlessly. Yet she is able to maintain a balance between traditional crafts and design aesthetics. The ethos of the label Sunita Shanker lie in her partnership with rural artisans. The rich cultural heritage of India has been the source of inspiration for the brand. Her travel to the rural craft sector and interaction with traditional crafts practitioners has enabled her to explore the vocabulary within the constraints of traditional crafts. A 1990 graduate of the National Institute of Fashion Technology, Sunita Shanker made her first professional foray in 1994 after her collection was awarded the best collection at a design contest organized by NIFT in 1993. Eventually, she launched her label in 1996. Then onwards, she has been retailing her designs from premier stores in the country. She has been associated with rural Indian crafts and handloom for almost 30 years now. As a consultant to the Ministry of Textiles and working in different crafts in Pan-India, she has constantly engaged in the design and development of textiles and products. Her commitment to the sector helped her to harness the exemplary skills of textile artisans. Hence, this has gained her the required insights into sustainable livelihoods and designs. She has endeavored to showcase the regional talent and artistry through her work. Sunita considers herself an artisanal designer, working with traditional artisans who cultivate a sense of culture in making timeless pieces. The collaborative effort with the craftspeople makes the work community-centric, and them being equal stakeholders and facilitators. The enriched experience gained with her travel and work with the craft sector equipped her with the appropriate soft skills. Our design philosophy is to keep it clean and stylish. The women's clothing line is modern and contemporary, emphasizing traditional skills. Sunita Shanker brand has a presence in premier stores and galleries, including Oberoi chain of hotels in the country. Besides having the work retailed from the Conran shop and Selfridges, she has also exhibited her work at the Museum of Far Eastern Antiquities in Stockholm, Museum Koln in Cologne, and the Yokohama Silk Museum in Japan, to mention a few. Japan has been a significant market for the brand and has also influenced the design aesthetics. Sunita has been a special invitee on the Senate of NIFT, promoting handloom and handicraft in design education. A very warm welcome to you, Ms. Sunita, and we are very lucky and privileged to have you with us today. So, would you like to say something to the students?
Thank you. Good afternoon, all of you. It's a privilege, and I look forward to this interactive session because I think young people really have a great mind that can be cultivated and rather channelized in a creative field, and who can take the world by storm. So I think it's a real privilege to interact with you today.
Thank you so much for being here. So we have just gone through your professional journey, but we would like to start with your early life. Tell us about your early life, your family, childhood, school, college life.
I'll make it very brief. It is very long, so I'll make it very brief. So I think the thing is that creativity is something that was nurtured in the family, and we were all encouraged to inculcate creative pursuits. So both my sister and I, we learned dance, classical dance. We have that background. Of course, I have a background in family photography. We have that as a business. So we were exposed to images and creative pursuits there. So in general, creativity was something which was very natural for us. Not that I had economics honors to graduate, and I never took it up. I mean, I didn't complete that. I dropped that, and I joined NIFT when I got to know when it had started. It was a little late. I joined in the second batch. Um, I think, and it's for all the students actually, and the faculty should realize, because I think I do have a relatively good years of experience of being in the creative field, pursuing various aspects of creative things apart from designing. I think when you are in a field of design, it is very important to be exposed to everything that has to do with art, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's painting, whether it's writing, any kind of creative pursuits is what it makes you. It is what actually creates and helps you to progress in your work, which is designing. Design by itself, it cannot be insular. You learn and you do things with the environment. You create that ecosystem around you, ecosystem in which you nurture and harbor and create things. So I think perhaps it is very important here to make you understand that we come from a pluralist culture. That is, it's multicultural. And let's not observe and make things linear. Let's not be linear in our thinking. Let's collect things from around us to create things. I think I don't want to get into too much of what my background is, but I think this is what I think really helped me to create anything today. I mean, ask me to paint a wall, I will paint a wall. Ask me to dance, I will dance. I mean, these are the things you need to be these are multi-sensorial things, These are activities where brain starts working and you start thinking, you start pushing boundaries and learning things. It's just not a simple thing that you make it into an object. It's very subjective.
Right. So, very valid that we should be involved in something creative, be it dancing, music, writing, anything, so that,
movies also, please. Watch movies. Yeah.
Creative juices flowing. So do you think creativity can be taught, or is it inbuilt? So how should one nurture creativity, especially in today's time when everyone is, kind of locked up in homes? How should one, nurture creativity?
I think, creativity is something that you are interested in. And you have to make that step of, sitting and working on your own, working with your hands. Being interested is very important. You need guidance. Someone has to channelize it for you, your creative inability. Colleges do that. The job of a college is actually to help you to channelize your creative energy, right? But if you have to actually find what to do, you can't say, I'm making garments, I'm not interested in any other material. Please be interested in any other materials. That's how we'll come to know what is the difference with things around you. I don't have to watch a movie. It doesn't interest me. Watch it. There are so many things, as a designer, you need to have a keen eye to see how a framing is done. You have to understand, look at movies which have a lot of content in terms of creative input, whether it's composition, whether it's color distribution, a whole lot of things. There's a narrative. I think specifically when I look at students who are doing fashion design specifically, I think it's need where you need to understand when you create things or things are created in front of you, you need to articulate it. You need to be able to narrate what it has done. You need to get the core of it, So it's all that it is basically you have to work. Your professors and your faculties and your teacher can only do a certain thing. They can hold your hand and take you there. But you have to, it's your journey. You have to embark on your own journey. So, and especially even for college, that when we say that we've graduated and we have become professionals, now we're going to get out and take over the world. Yes, you will take over the world, but it will happen gradually. You're embarking on a new journey and an unknown space with armed with rudimentary or fundamentals in education, which actually prepares you to face the world or professional world. So you have to take one step at a time. Don't be in a hurry. Nothing happens in a hurry. Don't work in isolation. That is something that I will always insist, that work together, collaborate, co-create, learn the ropes of the industry, any industry. It's not necessary that you test fashion, so it is going to be restricted to fashion. I know students who studied fashion and have become art curators in museums. You can do, people have gone into acting. So it's just lending to your personality.
Right, absolutely. So our students, especially this bunch, is very, very creative. Yesterday, we had a tie-and-dye workshop, and they were taught certain techniques, and they used those techniques in different ways of folding, and they created such beautiful designs. So this is a creative lot, and they're working to improve that further. So you've mentioned that you also trained as a classical dancer. So
yeah.
Has this also helped you? In what way that has helped you?
You have to understand that if you've seen Raju Sethi, and he said it very correctly, that if you want to design and if you want to conceptualize, you should know music, you should know dance, you should be able to understand body, you should be able to understand the composition where you body with respect to your surrounding. You need to understand the rhythm. You need to understand the discipline. You need to understand the journey, how things move gradually. When you sing, you have to sing within a meter. When there's a rhythm to it. There's a discipline. You have to understand the beat is also there, So everything where it's more about exploring, So that is where dance and everything. Today, when I look at myself, you tell me, okay, now design a collection using say bandhani, because I'm known for it. I will not have a very linear look to it. I will look at it because with so many experiences that I've had, and it's experiential for me. So I will look at it bandhani. I will look with other craft. I will look along with what textiles I'll put in. I will look at it in a totality. So we have to start thinking in totality. If you start, it's great you have fast fashion because it becomes easier for people to wear clothes, but it's not also very good to have fast fashion. We've homogenized a certain look because we say, oh, we need to follow trends. Do you need to follow trends? Because today social media has been a complete, wonderful democratic platform for anyone. You can create your own trends with the limited resources. It's very easy to make fantastic thing with a lot of resources given to you. The challenge is to use the limited resources sensibly, judiciously, and come up with something fantastic. So dance always does help, always. I'm pushing in and out of things. Yeah.
So how did your love for craft and design start? How did fashion come into your life?
Okay, I'll let you another secret. So I am originally from Varanasi, but always been in Delhi. So for my summer vacations, I went to Varanasi. Can you believe it? Varanasi in summer. But I think it played a very important and intrinsic part in my development, because you were sensitized. You're sensitized to so many things. You see aesthetics in every small nook and corner. You see aesthetic even in the small, in a simple lamp being lit, someone bathing in the Ganges. There is so much of aesthetics around, and there's so much of you've gone through that sensitizing process already. So it was very interesting. Culturally, because you trained as a dancer, you appreciated music, you appreciated art in any form. So you were natural. For me, I will say that I was at NIFT, I'm from the second batch, so our curriculum was very Western oriented, very much, because we were affiliated, NIFT was affiliated with FIT New York. And for me, my journey actually started after NIFT, because that whole thing of finding a synergy between fashion and traditional crafts and culture was what I wanted to do. And I needed to learn on my own. I definitely got a lot of helping hand and aids in it, because it was such a wonderful thing. Do remember when today people talk about fashion in terms of technical based fabrics, but we refer to styles of the 60s and 70s. There were no technology, no supersonic technology that was creating fashion. It was basically aesthetics that was happening with whatever was available, and they were still improving on it. So you have to find out, this is how I think for me it was, and 60s and 70s, when I look at it and refer to it, and I said, oh my God, so much of hand woven, handcrafted products, which was so much in fashion, So that really got me going. So I think my aim till date has been finding that synergy or that balance between fashion and craft.
Wonderful. So coming to the college NIFT life, so what did you really enjoy while studying fashion? And what would you like to advise to the students to do while they are in college? Because these students have just started.
Okay, so I must tell you this, that when I was in college, because this was something new as a professional course that had come into India, most of my batchmates were graduates. There were some working, there were some who were mothers. But I think it was such a blast to be in it at that time. We really had a good time. And we were definitely a mature lot, because we knew how to even if you didn't know in the first assignment, how to present an assignment, we were good and very fast learners. So I think the adaptability, flexibility, exploration is very important within the constraints of what you taught, and learn to enjoy it. Don't be rigid, because life today doesn't allow us to be rigid any longer. We cannot any longer be conformed by certain mindsets. We have to learn to grow. We need to expand our vocabulary in terms of design, creative pursuits. I think you should enjoy everything and try and understand what you're learning, so that how do you apply it? Linkages and application is going to be your companion.
Yeah, so true. So I hope the students are listening and, of course, taking notes. You need to really, learn to apply whatever you're learning in college, because that is going to hold you in good stead. So, Sunita, tell us, so what was your first, major breakthrough after NIFT? How did you start, or what opportunity you got after completing your fashion studies?
So I know one thing, that I was quite sure that I didn't want to go for a 9-to-5 job. I had done my internship with an export house, but I must also tell you a few things. While I was applying for my internship, I got an offer from Germany. Of course, we didn't have a program for internship in Germany, so we didn't take it up. I also got an offer for a job and a training in Germany, again with a very well-known designer, after NIFT. But when you're young, and it was definitely a pretty new profession, so visas were a big issue. Excuse me. I think I was not so stuck on it, but it was such a good high, you got an opportunity like that came across. I definitely knew that I wanted to do some freelance work, because that gave me the opportunity to work with theater, to do costumes with theater, do clothing with export houses. And then during those days, all these boutiques were budding up, springing around. So we got to, you got to dabble your hands in doing ethnic wear and things like that. So I needed to get all the kind, and I also did logos for companies. We didn't have Coral Draw and we didn't have any of the technology there. We used to do it. And I used to do illustrations also. So I tried my hand, because whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to see, I was finding what I wanted to do. I was finding my um, area of interest. This is what I suggest all of you to do, is while you are students, you'll realize there are a lot of things that you don't want to do, and there are a lot of things that you're interested in, and you see how you perceive and how you move forward in it. And this is how I got and it was only in 93 when I won that contest. It was high time, I thought, and I did design uniforms for hotels too. So I dabbled everywhere, and I started a company. Studio.
Yeah, because you know what happens, like we have fashion communication students and they come to us and they say, ma'am, why do we have to study textiles? We are doing communication, why are we studying textiles? But the course gives you an overall understanding of all aspects of fashion. And then you have to find your interest area, as you have mentioned, that it's very important to find what interests you and then build your career accordingly. So how did you develop this interest in crafts and textiles? How did that happen?
So I was always working on textiles. We were always working on textiles, and there was always an interest in crafts. I mean, my mother wore the most beautiful sari. My sister was always wearing ethnic stuff. I knew how to pick up a good textile, so I knew whatever the textiles were. And as I mentioned, that I was interested in that, finding that balance between fashion and Indian textiles and crafts. But I think the fact that, the ministry noted, because NIFT is a part of the textile ministry, they noticed my strength. That was very nice of them. And so I was sent, the first project that I was given was to design a collection that was showcased for EPCH. And there were a whole lot of other designers. So I was sent off to Bagh in Madhya Pradesh. I had never traveled. I mean, in one of my visits to Varanasi, and that was during my NIF days only. NIF course used to be then 2 years. I had gone to a village where they used to do, I'm just taking you back, giving you background of weaving Banarsi saris. It was appalling. It was shocking. I was to see the kind of poverty, to understand how that textile was woven in that surrounding. And, when you're young, you really get intimidated. And it had a very, very strong impact on me. And I think, I was still a student in initial days. That was also another reason that, I thought I needed to work with them. But I never went back to Varanasi. So when EPCH decided, I went to Bagh in Madhya Pradesh. And it was very exciting because, you realize that, you live in your confinements and you say, oh, we are doing the best work and we design in our conformities of our studios. And this is how it has to be. But you go to a village, you see that they're no less creative. They're creating things out of the natural resources that is all around them, the colors, the whole process. And I think it was such an eye-opener, because creativity is not confined to one space, one way of thinking. We have to prevent ourselves from being linear thinkers if we want to be creative, if we want to pursue anything in creative field, whether it's fashion, any kind of design, anything. because it does not mean that if you don't have those things that we have sort of created, conformities, we are not creative. And this is something that I learned. And I think with that, it got me very curious. And of course, I did a good job with that project that I went on, the government went on picking me up for various areas.
Great. So you've talked about your experience, your first experience. So what is it like working at the grassroots level? What challenges do you face when you go to the clusters and work with the artisans? What do you find very challenging, and also what is most interesting for you working with the craftsmen?
So I must here tell you something. It is not challenging any longer. Challenges were then when you could not even reach the craft sector. You know, there were no mode of transportation. There was no mobile phone. Please remember this. You kids are from the generation who is privileged.
Right.
Yeah, we were absolutely, but I love the bliss of being in the oblivion. And then, you know, I could never tell, see, I used to travel to interiors. I could never tell my mother, you know, I'm going to return from this place tomorrow because it might take me a week to return. Okay, so those were challenges. The craftsman was not connected to the market. The craftsman was not connected to anyone. There were no technology. It wasn't technology driven like the way it is today. So you were dealing with someone who was sort of set in his own opinion and aesthetics, and you didn't change anything. Because I went as an apprentice. Do remember, when you go to a craft sector, you have no understanding of the craft. You have no understanding of the aesthetics. So you have to learn. You have to work as an apprentice. I worked as an apprentice. I learned things, and then I understood how to design within the vicinity and conformities of a craft. That is the way I did. And it was very challenging then because people were quite dominating. You were young, but it was fine. I had to learn. And that's the way I learned. I didn't mind it. I didn't cry about it because I had chosen it. Secondly, today, when you look at the craft sector, it's well versed now. It's well connected with the world. It's well connected. Everybody knows everything, you know. They know the importance of their craft, their skills, all their artistry. They're well connected with the world. They are aspirational. You are dealing with the third, fourth generation of artisans. I'm talking about the third, fourth generation of artisans with whom I had been connected with. Okay, you will be, I don't know, multiple generations of artisans you'll be dealing with, you know. So they are well connected, and they know the importance of their work. They're also, the craftsmen are understanding what design is. You need to collaborate with them, but before collaborating with them, you need to learn from them.
Yes. We also have with us Professor Dr. Pradeep Joshi. He's our Director General from Amity Directorate of Applied Arts Fine Arts.
Good afternoon, Sunita ji. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mr. Pradeep?
Good to see you after long.
Yeah.
And I remember you right from the time when I joined an IFT, say, years back.
How many years ago it was?
Years back, I remember that you were a frequent visitor to an IFT every year, that function, every time you are there for all the juries. So why I'm mentioning this to this part, that she's one of the very important part of the fashion fraternity, I must say. If I remember correctly, that she's from the first batch or the second batch of an IFT. And I remember when I joined in 95, at that point of time, there were the close-knit number of people who were there seen or who were interacting. So I know her as one of them.
I did teach also. Yeah, I forgot to mention, I did teach too.
Yeah. So, and so she's one of the doyen of the fashion industry, I must say. And I missed in beginning because we had got some PhD interviews for entrance. So in fact, I was supposed to be there as the chairman, so I couldn't miss that. So Nidhi, that have you completed the talk show or?
So we are just discussing. She is telling us about her craft experience and
So,
how she
if I can ask one, two odd questions, I'll just take a
Yes,
few
sure,
minutes.
sure. Yes, please.
One important thing, I think, so that the moment we say as a fashion institute, I'll ask a question that today, if I see the MIT School of Fashion Technology, we have got, for your information, Rita, that we got approximately 1,000 students as of now. So, which is a big number today, and sizable number is of the fashion design student, and then textile design, and followed by fashion communication. These are the programs which have got very good numbers, and of course. Just to brief you that we are running undergrad, PG, and even PhD programs under the MIT School of Fashion Technology. So I would like to know from you that particularly today, why it is important that this batch today to whom you are meeting is more of the students of the first year. And very objective was this, that once the students join the portal of any fashion institute, maybe any institute, they've got a lot of aspirations and ambitions, exactly. And the fashion business is a lot about glamour, and we say pastry. And I remember I'm sharing with you. It's not a question. I'm giving my observation. I remember interacting with sometimes with parents also, that after passing out, they always aspire that their watch should become or join renowned designer. Everybody want to be with renowned designer, want to become or want to earn like that. And I particularly, whenever I get a chance, I always tell them that the names which you see today are they're the result of the efforts for years exactly. Nobody has become big in a day. Suddenly, nobody has become great designer or the great marketer or the great technologist in a day. Shai Export has not become in a day what it is today. Harisha Ahuja was not the of running an empire of thousands of crores right from the day when he started business, or may it be true with the Mr. Dhingra, or maybe there are many exporters who have started right from scratch exactly. So I would like, you can just tell them that what is something which they should possess, or what should they do in these 4 years besides coursework. Course with work will happen as at its pace. That is the responsibility of the institute. But what should they do to fulfill their aspirations and ambitions?
I had actually touched all these things, what you are talking about. But I'll also say one thing that, there's not one genre of fashion. We are all going after popular genre of fashion to become big. There's so many aspects to fashion, so many genre in design itself. Look at it, whether it's artisanal, whether it's, you have Good Earth, that's also a brand, which is great. You have Fab India, which is happening, Jaipur.com. There are CSR programs that are there. You have big designers that that who are doing couture, which our couture looks more like occasional and wedding wears. You have to see, then you have people who are working for organizations like Uniqlo or Zara, H&M, which is definitely there. But there are people who are creating a niche in the market by being true to themselves, working on sustainable aspects also. I think if you look at things today, multifaceted and total all-round growth and development of an individual is important. In the time of pandemic, we all had to wear variety of hats. It's not that I cannot do this, I'm a designer. I cannot do that because I'm a designer. You have to do everything yourself. Go and train under someone who teaches you all these things. I'll tell you, my association with Japan has been the strongest. My mentors were Japanese. That's one aspect I missed out. I was so zapped when I went to Japan. They said, oh, you have to iron your clothes. When you're abroad, you're ironing your own clothes, you're doing your own display, you're doing your own selling. You're doing your own explanation. So you need to learn everything of this profession. You have to understand design is dependent on other things. As I said, it's not insular. You have to incorporate everything. Someone wants to be a writer. I have a batchmate of mine who's a healer, one of the renowned healers in the country. So people are becoming, it just sensitizes you. You become far more sensitive. I think creative profession is the most beautiful thing. It's not about technology. It's not about numbers. It's about, today you realize that, okay, it's great that we have this technology and we are able to talk. I'm able to connect with you without, moving out anywhere else. But we still need to, don't you feel the need to meet your friends and interact? We need, that is what it is, that you have to, in that surrounding, that ecosystem you have to create. And you have to learn everything, every aspect. Enjoy a movie, enjoy having popcorn, observe things, be quiet, read as much as you can. I'll tell you, I've been reading a lot. Okay, pandemic was very bad. Yeah. But I think for great things, I got back to my reading. I read so much history. I read a lot of fiction. And then you can connect history to fiction. There's so many things we think we've done. No, we have a lot more to do. Those who want to study further, please go ahead and do that. Nothing is in a hurry. Nothing is going anywhere. It is, we're realizing, because all these things do matter. And I have touched this earlier on all these aspects. And you need to enjoy. Don't be too serious that it has to be killing, and don't be so competitive. What I see today across, and I don't mind saying on social media, is uniformity. I see followers. I don't see leaders. And the leaders will only happen when you go through every aspect. You really experience life. You really experience creative things. You go and expose yourself to things. Then you realize what you want to do. I'm sorry, though the social media is a great equalizer, it's also, it's encouraging herd mentality, and you are losing your individuality. So find yourself, don't compare yourself with one another. Sorry, everybody has to embark on their own journey. It's their own journey. You only know, you are you yourself, your individuality is very important. So you have to, don't forget that, and don't get onto this bandwagon of, technology, whether it's the print media or anything that keeps on telling, oh, you'll shine, you'll be great. Nobody shines and nothing happens in a jiffy. Everything takes its own time. Even the grass takes its own time to grow. You just don't go on implanting it. Everything needs its own time. So don't be in a hurry. In fact, I would say that you're in a good position. You have enough time to go through everything and experience, learn, analyze, and apply.
Thank you. Last question. What is skill set which they should look for purchasing or having in the days to come? Like there are the people today, earlier we used to talk about, say, drawing, illustration. Now it is about the digital happening a lot. So of course, as you rightly mentioned, that it is the one's own journey and everybody need to leave a mark of his or her own. But once you recruit, or once the designer recruit, what are they looking for while hiring a design professional?
If I hire someone, I'm good at judging them. I make sure they read. If I give them a subject, they read. I interact with them on those subjects. Look at it from different point of views. It's very important. Visual, literal, different aspects of it. It's, for example, if I give you color pink, and you're supposed to design something in pink, don't you dare come to me and give me something in color pink. I need you to write something of color pink, the connotation of color pink, whether it's Pink City, whether it's a Pink as a musician, Pink Floyd, could be anyone, Pink Flamingos, could be Jaipur, Pink City, any damn thing. You have to get this whole thing together to come up with pink. It could just be a state of mind, So I think that you have to start pushing the boundaries. The skill sets, as I said, flexibility. Don't stop writing. I know you'll push buttons, you'll forget your skills. Do remember, if you don't work with your hands, Your mind doesn't work. People say the mind works when you're working on the computer. It's a linear thinker. It's a linear thinker. When you are working with your hands, you'll come across a lot of problems, blockages. You'll want to resolve it. So you will know how to resolve it. So you working with hands is very important. Reading is very important. Writing is very important. And these become instrumental in all your technical thing, because you're putting it there. People talk about virtual spaces, designing virtual spaces. Virtual spaces won't happen if there were no experiences. You are creating that space out of an experience. If you've not gone into the real space, how will you design a virtual space? So those experiential things only come because human beings are elements of the earth. It's rudimentary and fundamental for us not to forget our basic reals in life. And how technology is just a tool. It cannot take over our lives. You want to meet your friends. You want to have classes in person. You want to feel things. You want to sit and have a cup of coffee and chat with someone. That's what triggers things. When you meet your friends, take up idea, interact, chat, you'll have so many ideas coming in. This is the way it is. This is what the skill set we need today.
Thank you. And I think so we would be very happy that if one of these days you visit the campus, I think that will be something I'll ask Nidhi to coordinate with you.
Sure.
We would like to have it one of the good auditoriums and talk with you, where we will have the students of all other batches also. So Great. It was really good to talk to you, Sunita. I think
Pleasure.
So. Thank you.
Pleasure being there with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So taking our conversation forward, so you told us just now about your Japan experience. So how did that happen? And you also exhibited in Japanese galleries. So how did that happen? And also how did it help you develop your design aesthetics?
So my mentor, I had met him when I was in grade 12. And I don't think so at that time I was very keen on Japanese aesthetics. It's more about form. It's more about object relation to space, things like that, texturization and a lot of simplistic aspect, very Zen and yet very, how would I say, very engineered also at the same time, technology driven too. And I think it was slowly when I was in NIF did I start understanding, because that was the time when Issei Miyake was really big, if you remember. He had done cuts and things like that. And I think that's when it dawned upon me. And the fact that I was working, and they were working a lot in Indian textiles and Indian crafts. And I think that resonated with me, because I wanted to work with Indian textiles and, so you understood, you were exposed to their aesthetics. The simplicity was what got me, and it was really good, streamlined work. And I think, I was invited by the Japan Foundation to, I think it was in 96, I don't remember when. So to showcase my work. And that's where I realized, how it was received. And I had to speak about my work. We need to speak. And it's not something that we speak like when you do a presentation in a classroom that you talk, I've done this, and you can't fool the world. You have to make sensible. So I think that really got me to think about my work, how I spoke and things like that. You realize when something as responsible as that comes in, things change for you. And you like the aesthetics. I love that country. It's for aesthetics, the sensitivity to design, the understanding. And of course, you understood your rural understanding and sensitivity.
Okay, so also, if we look at the history of textiles, then we see that Indian textiles have been very popular throughout the history. But now Indian traditional textiles are losing out to machine-made textiles or fast fashion. So what can be done for the craft sector? How can it be revived according to you?
No, we have to be responsible as consumers. The first thing is that we become responsible as consumers. The biggest market is the Indian diaspora today's world. Okay.
Yes.
And thanks to our festivities, the traditional high valued things will never go out of fashion. You'll not wear a gown or a jumpsuit to a wedding. Maybe the trend would be later on that becomes, but do carry Indian craft in it. But also that as conscious consumers, this is going to make a lot of difference. We are anyway addressing sustainability in terms of environment, livelihood, resources, everything. So fast fashion has been, it's also correcting its ways. And do you need to consume so much? Craft is not fast fashion. Craft is sustainable. It has its limitation. There are certain quantities that can be produced. The numbers of craftsmen have increased relatively, but if you see the population, maybe it looks lower,
Right.
But how do you encourage the craftsmen to continue with their work if they don't have market? So you have to create that market. You have to make that conscious choice. How will you respect his work or her work? You empower them. This is our social responsibility. And also do remember that no country has the kind of rich repository that we have. And the world is looking at us. If you go to any museum in the world, and if you sit in any of the webinars of the museums around the world, it's only Indian textiles, Indian crafts, because that is the richest and there's no comparison to it. So there's something that we have to be proud of. And we should take it ahead.
Right. So there's a question. Students will start taking the Q&A round because we're short of time, and I think we just have about 5-10 more minutes. So there's a question. Sometimes Kalyani Tyagi is asking, sometimes we do feel lost being occupied with so many subjects and too many options, and everything becomes so uncertain. Even the future becomes uncertain. So what exactly should we do to keep ourselves motivated among all of this?
I know it's very uncertain, and I think are you conducting classes offline or online?
Offline now. So these first year students are attending college.
Yeah, I think initially, see, if you're a first year student, it will be confusing. I must tell you, when I went to NIFT, I was very unhappy because I said, what did I come into? So initial, just take it easy. This will pass. It's a new subject. You will try and understand. Look at it. Look at your course curriculum. Get into a group of friends. Get your buddies together to study, work. Because what happens, they help each other out and you'll realize what you're good at, what the other person is good at, And it is uncertain, it's fine. Education is like that, Look at what is interesting you, You have to create that group of people to work together and to study together. Because I know it's very different from what it used to be. You have far too many subjects. What all subjects do they have now?
They have all the subjects. They have textiles. They have illustration. They have elements of design. They have a pattern making, garment construction, everything basically. And they have other subjects, behavioral sciences and foreign language and others also.
So it's, it's quite a bit. But you have to form a group. You'll find your way. It's not a problem at all. It is, see, the technical subjects like pattern making and draping and all are important, because that is, you need to know, and things are changing, because in case tomorrow you have to make a pattern, you should know that. These are few things that you have. The other thing is additional. Behavioral thing is important. Why are they doing that? They want to do that.
That is required. requirement of UGCs.
These are soft skills. I'll tell you something. In craft sector, it's the best thing if you work there. They hone your soft skills, which are so important. Your adaptability, flexibility, problem solving, communications, everything. You have to look at every subject from that point of view. What are you learning through this?
Right. So I hope your question is answered, Kalyani. We have another question from Moisha. She's asking, I come from a family of designers and freelancers, so I have a vague idea of how it's like, but would like your take on freelance today, and especially in our field.
It's far more competitive. It's far more competitive. And but there are a lot of people who want to design, so you have spaces for you. So and it also depends what you want to do as a freelancer. Are you really want to design clothes? Do you want to do graphics? Do you want to do a jacket for someone? I mean, I'm talking about cover or slips or sleeves. You want to do wallpaper. You have to find out, because there are a lot of possibilities. During my time, I could say that someone asked me to do logo. I couldn't even believe, So you have to see, it is competitive. But do you want to continue with freelancing? What do you want to do?
Moisha? I think she wants to do freelance.
So you'll find.
Alvinsa, can you make that? Moisha?
Moisha, there's a lot of room for you. There's a lot of room for you. I can hear a lot of noise.
So they must be in the class, that's right. So Moisha is writing that I haven't really decided yet.
She's a first year student or a...
First year student. Yes.
Are a long way to go, Moisha. Enjoy being a student.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so anyone else who wants to ask question? So there was a question like, what challenges did you face when you started your label? How difficult or challenging it was to start your own business, because you were a designer, and then to get into business and managing the business aspect of it.
It's terrible. So, I still feel it is terrible. It's terrible. I have now people to handle it. But it was terrible. I mean, I can't tell you, I had never dealt with tailors, and you had to deal with them, and your communication skills were not that great, so you were trying to find out where you were taken for a ride. Everything was there. So I think there's a fair amount of teething problems that one had, and it goes on for 1.5 to 2 years, or maybe 3 years, until you finally settle in.
Right. Okay, so any more questions from students?
I think they are now over with it. They're tired. They're tired.
Yeah, I think I've been, Gargi Ratra is writing, I've been observing the craft sector since quite a long time, and I have a keen interest in surface ornamentation. How can I get started something with traditional embroidery?
Read about the traditional embroideries. Okay. Read about the kind of traditional embroideries in this country. It's not only Zardozi. See, there are a lot of huge, numerous communities in Gujarat that are associated with traditional embroideries. There are embroiderers in UP. You have a whole lot of, apart from Zardozi to chikankari, you have Katha, you have Suzani. You please read, you have from Banjara, from down south. I mean, a whole lot of other places, Suf and Suzani, and just think about it. They're all there. So read about all kinds of embroideries that this country offers. Okay, and then understand. What I understand will be yours will be, don't tell me that you want to do surface ornamentation, which is Zardozi or thread work, which is done. which is fine. It's okay. But if you're interested in embroideries, read about the various kind of embroideries that this country offers, and different communities are there. So you will understand, you will get to know better, and you'll realize, how Middle Eastern embroideries came from Middle East, how they influenced India. We all have. You all are part. If you get into the historical part of it, is also very good, because you'll be ultimately explaining to people why you're doing this.
Right. Okay, Gargi. I hope that answers your query. There seems to be a question from Aniket Anand.
Yes,
he said,
Aniket.
I totally indeed that creativity is something which cannot be induced in one night. But I keep on getting inspired every time, like from a monochromatic color tone from a bunch of leaves to the red walls of my college. But I wanted to know how actually to keep a record of our inspiration. Shall we keep a record or let it go?
No, keep a record, because that's a very good one. That's a
Yeah.
very good one, because we were encouraged to keep a record. See, there we used to tear magazines and things, and we didn't have, and if we took photographs, it needed to be developed and all that stuff. You start archiving it. You have a cloud. You can just start. This is it. What you feel when the red wall, what inspired you? What you thought when you saw the red wall? What do you think when you see the leaves? What is it? You should put your expression there and record. I think this is a very good idea. Very good idea. When you also see movies, look at movies that people tell you to look at, see, or because there is a composition where you'll see, oh my God, that's the powder blue with the Van Dyke brown. Look at the proportion. I will help you to find that proportion. So these are the things that you'll find, After all, we are in a visual world. We need to be stimulated.
Right. So Aniket, you need to keep a journal and keep recording.
Good. I mean, Aniket, you started something good. I hope your batchmates also think about keeping a journal. This college can start that. Keep a journal.
Yes. Okay, any more questions?
I think we're done.
Yes, I think so too. We are nearing the time.
Yeah, it's been long.
So thank you so much, Ms. Sunita, for coming and joining this session online and talking with the students and sharing your experience. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much on behalf of Amity Directorate of Applied Arts, Fine Arts, Performing Arts and Visual Arts. I would like to extend our heartiest thanks to you for taking out time from your busy schedule and coming to meet the students. Thank you so much. Please do visit the campus.
Yes, we'll take that on later. Yeah. Soon. Yes. Let's have a little bit of a holiday. Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year. Hope your dreams come true and enjoy studying. As a student, it's a great time. So don't get worried. Don't be in a hurry. You all can be leaders. And it's been a pleasure as well as a privilege to interact with you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, students. Thank you.